men, men do things to attract women, women do things to attract men. That's the idea. This basic fact of human existence. For our daily cancellation today, we have an article in CNN written by a woman named Madeline Holcomb with this rather hilarious title: "After years of progress on gender, the male gaze is back." Now, the article itself is very long, appears to have been written with the help of AI. Now, I can't prove that. I don't know for certain that it's the case, but as someone who suffered through the experience of reading the entire thing for some reason, I can say that it seems like the writer fed a few prompts into ChatGPT and told it to spit out a 3,000-word feminist essay. And if that's not what she did, she may as well have done that. There's really no reason to waste your time actually writing a soulless, banal, needlessly wordy essay that just repeats the same tired talking point over and over again. ChatGPT can handle that just fine. I'm very against AI taking over and doing everything, but if that's what if you're looking to make a pointless, soulless essay, then you might as well just have AI do it. Anyway, here's how Madeline GPT begins the article. "This summer, I got cultural whiplash. As a child of the 90s and early 2000s, I grew up with my mother's and grandmother's generation's fight for legal and workplace equality, helping shed social misogyny. In the past decade in particular, I saw the evidence of progress in my media diet. The movies, shows, books, and advertisements I consumed were increasingly giving women a seat at the table. Heroin chic fell away, and body positivity entered the fashion world. Stories about a woman stealing your man were traded for celebrations of the girl's girl who resisted the competition for men's attention. My husband and I got married earlier this year. Our vision..."
We're about 10% in. Let's keep it going. I guess Matt Walsh, he's upset
of what our life could be
about an article on CNN written by a lady, too feminist. I'm thinking he's the.
Included wide-ranging possibilities, influenced in part by the movies and shows we grew up with. We saw, read, and listened to stories of involved fathers, successful mothers, and well-matched partners who supported one another. It seemed like women were taking a deeper breath without such heavy cultural restrictions." But you see what I mean. I'm not going to harp on the point, but I just refuse to believe that an actual human person wrote this paragraph. It's the perfect combination of cliche and meaningless. It was either generated by an algorithm or by a person whose brain has been hijacked by algorithms, and the results are the same. In any case, Madeline claims that when she got married, she and her husband were excited by the wide-ranging possibilities in their lives because they were influenced by the movies and shows they watched. Without the movies and shows, they wouldn't have known that life has possibilities. They would not have known that if they hadn't been able to watch.
I think that's surprisingly true, though, for the reason most people get married under like 30. I think after 30, your brain starts to work better. You start to really think about stuff. But anything before that, it's hormones and hype.
Watch all those movies and shows.
Unless you're just really mature. Some people are really mature, but not really. Mentally, they might be acting on mature advice, which is another type of maturity. But mentally, I don't know.
Madeline needed to see women on TV pretending to do different things in order to know that it's possible for women to do different things. She watched Grey's Anatomy and learned that women can be doctors. She saw, Tomb Raider and learned that women can be archaeologists. She watched Monster with Charlize Theron and learned that women can even be successful serial killers if they want to be. Madeline's brain was programmed by pop culture, and she's apparently proud of it. But she's confused because after all this girl power propaganda, why do heterosexual men still exist? How can this be? She continues, "Then there was a shift. Was it around the 2024 presidential election or since the overturn of Roe v. Wade? Maybe when men's rights activists pushed back against Me Too. Whatever the catalyst, a change in the political environment seemed to connect with a social change that brought back narrow and at times constrictive ideas of womanhood depicted in media. The recent rise of weight loss medications coincided with social media influencers sharing ways to get smaller and no longer celebrating bodies of all sizes. Advertisements followed suit, making men's desire once again a dominating factor in how stories are told and how women are portrayed. How had these discarded ideas made their way back into circulation? Didn't we all agree we were through with them? The culprit, I have learned, is the male gaze. It was always there, but now it's stepped back into the spotlight." Look, I'll be honest with you, between work, kids, all the different activities you have with kids and trying to squeeze in some fishing time as well, very important. Our family dinners become not supposed to
I think that was an ad, so I'm just gonna skip that.
have a gaze. We aren't supposed to look at anything or notice anything or want anything or have any preferences or desires of any kind. Every bad thing that happens, including and especially the bad choices that women make, are really the fault of men and their gaze. Gaze, by the way, just to clarify.
Okay.
She goes on to explain, this year saw viral content around an OnlyFans star's attempt to break the world record for most sexual partners in one day.
I'll tell you what I know about the male gaze, being a man having a gaze. It is a good part of your self control on a daily basis. And then to think about, well, maybe not for some men, I don't know. And not when you're like at home or at work. And most times it doesn't really matter. Just when you get in public, it's going to be like, I think you have to choose to become disciplined as a man as you mature, to be like, okay, you know what? How am I going to not be looking all the time? Because yeah, I think you don't want to do that. One way to do that though is to think a little bit maybe about one that I think about, how that negatively does skew um, some things, because I'm just like, well, I don't know. But anyway, does it need a whole article? I mean, I don't know. Does it need a whole video? I think people write stuff on stuff that is popular and is out there because you have to do that, or else you write stuff for yourself. Well, why am I doing this reaction?
Career move made even more viral by her bashing the wives and girlfriends of her sexual partners and suggesting that men cheating is the fault of the women who aren't available enough for sex. Most typically, the male gaze is about representing women in media solely to satisfy heterosexual men, said Dr. Linda Tunkay-Zayer, professor of marketing and John F. Smith, junior chair in business administration at the Quinlan School of Business at Loyola University, Chicago. That was the longest title. That was the longest title for the most meaningless position that you could possibly imagine. So anyway, the point is when a woman decides to pimp herself out for money, the fault really lies with men. The OnlyFans star in question cannot be blamed for her own decisions. Much less can she be accused of exploiting the men who appear in her videos or consume her content. I mean, you could make that argument. If anyone's being exploited there, it's actually going the other way.
You cannot make the if you can't make it the other way, then you definitely can't make. If you can't say that men are to blame for women being prostitutes, you definitely can't say that women are to blame for seducing men into paying for their stuff. It's a problem with both people. It's a problem with society in general because it doesn't start there or end there, But it's definitely everyone. There's lots of accountability. Everyone needs to take their share.
No. Somehow she's the one being exploited, even though she is the one with all the power in that relationship.
How?
And the only one who profits financially from it.
Okay.
Madeline also uses the example of the infamous American Eagle ad. Infamous for no reason. There was no reason for it because it was totally inoffensive. But Sydney Sweeney was evidently compelled through the hypnotic force of the male gaze to appear in the ad and objectify herself.
Are you researching dental implants? Acrylic temporary prosthetics break constantly. Some labs.
So this is your typical feminist claptrap where women are presented as both empowered and utterly helpless at the exact same time. But I want to focus very briefly, just for a moment, on the question that the author posed that we read a couple minutes ago. And she wrote again, how had these discarded ideas made their way back into circulation? Didn't we all agree we were through with them? Now, the idea, again, is just heterosexuality. That's really it. That's the idea she's talking about. Men are attracted to women. Women are attracted to men. Men do things to attract women. Women do things to attract men.
Well, not to be that nuanced. I mean, even the Bible talks about, um, looking at a woman is as bad as adultery, So it's good to address, I don't know, from her perspective, she's addressing its effect on art in society. And maybe it makes art worse. Lots of things make art worse, but any degenerate behavior, which this is, if you're staring at women constantly, you know, then it's a degenerate behavior. You need to focus on your wife. I don't know how else to say it. Either your wife to be or your current wife. There's nothing wrong with appreciating somebody's physical fitness. It's like, oh, I like working out. Like, oh, they must be good at working out too. I think that's normal. But yeah, if it's like a lustful thing you're doing all the time, yeah, it's going to make art worse. Lots of things make art worse. And address it, But yeah, I mean, I don't really think it matters either way. I don't know, but that's not for me to say.
That's the idea. This basic fact of human existence.
As far as the article, I mean, it matters either way.
And guess what? That basic fact of human
But
existence was never.
CNN is entertainment, though, just like he's entertainment. It's like news, but we're watching because we're engaged because we're entertained. Usually, I think there's very few real news sources out there these days. Maybe none.
Discarded and can never be discarded. It was denied by the ideological movement that Madeline has unthinkingly aligned herself with, but human society itself can never get rid of it. And the most telling part of it is when she said, well, hadn't we all agreed? Oh, really? You think we all agreed? Living in such a bubble, she thinks everyone agreed. Like we all agree that we're just done with heterosexuality completely. We all agreed to this total rejection of the only thing that keeps human civilization going. Hadn't we all agreed? Hadn't every single person on the planet agreed to this? Well, no, we certainly never agreed that we were all through with this fact of existence. Even if we had agreed, it wouldn't change the fact. There was no agreement. There was instead a demand from Madeline's side. And now she is lamenting that that demand was not met. She is lamenting, essentially, normalcy. And that is what this is really about. And that is why she is today canceled. If you like...
She's canceled. But, we see Matt Walsh's opinion there, too. He wants to see more heterosexuality. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe. I'm going to try to react to politics. I don't know if this is actually politics, though, but I'm going to try to leave something in the comments, more stuff that I should react to. Stuff on the left and the right. Probably do some Tim Pool stuff. I think that's more right news than this would be really considered. All right, guys. Catch you later. Thanks. Peace.